Hello. Hello, Will.
Hello, David.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live stream. This is our Silver Screen Science live stream for the year of 2025, where we talked a whole lot about apes.
Yes.
The way that the Silver Screen live stream works is we're here to talk about movies and the Silver Screen episodes that we just did, as well as just, your thoughts, science and movies and stuff like that. Just like all of our live streams, we're just going to chit-chat, and you say stuff in the comments, and we will read it and respond to it, and in that way, you can help to direct the flow of conversation. First and foremost, let us know that you can see us and hear us okay, because that is usually important.
Because that kind of matters.
That kind of matters. We did everything that we could do to make sure that things were up and running. So once you start telling us that you can see us and hear us okay, we will be confident in our ability to proceed. This year's Silver Screen Science was fantastic, Lexi. Lexi is blazing the trail.
There we go.
This year's Silver Screen Science was unusual. And it was we've never really done this before. And we weren't sure about it.
Like, the closest we came to this was back when we did the Godzilla and King Kong films.
Yes. And we've done, like, Jurassic Park is following a franchise.
Yes.
But the idea of doing
multiple reboots.
Multiple movies that are kind of the same thing.
No, it's the first movie in 3 different iterations of the same story.
Exactly. And we had to have a little conversation when we were thinking about it, because we both got excited about it. And some of our listeners had suggested doing a Planet of the Apes conversations for Silver Screen Science. And we had to have a conversation about it. Number one, are each of these movies good Silver Screen Science candidates?
Do they fit the layout that we typically use?
Yeah, because not every movie is a good Silver Screen Science movie.
There's a lot of good sci-fi movies out there that don't actually have a lot of science to discuss.
Yeah, and there are movies that have a lot of science, but it's not our science.
Yeah, exactly. We wouldn't actually have a lot to say about it.
Yes.
Or we shouldn't.
Yeah, we should not present ourselves as experts. Like, I don't think we're going to do, like, The Martian. Although we could do the Martian.
I could see the Martian working.
There are some out there that are like just far enough outside our timeline.
Yeah, timeline would be one of those.
Would be a good one.
Where I don't know enough about like the history to comment on how they're doing that, and the sci-fi they're doing is so sci-fi.
Yes.
That there's nothing for me to comment on, like, the realisticness of their time travel.
Yes, exactly.
So, some of those are wonky.
And then there's stuff like my go-to example, my favorite example, is 10,000 BC, which came out 2009 or so? Not very long ago. 10,000 BC, which has a lot of stuff to potentially talk about.
Oh yeah, like, it seems like it would be right in our wheelhouse. Yes. It's got prehistoric creatures and early, Paleolithic humans.
Yep. But there's shockingly little science to talk about in 10,000 BC.
Yeah.
Also, I don't want to watch 10,000 BC again. I saw it once. That was plenty.
It's got the guises of a science-connected story, but that's not actually what the story's about at all.
It kind of, I was worried about that with 65.
Yes.
We did 65 last year, and the year before, whenever we did 65. And I was worried 65 is pretty close to that.
Yeah.
So we had to, discuss, are each of these Planet of the Apes movies fitting for Silver Screen? And then, is this just going to be the same conversation 3 times in a row if we do all 3 of these movies? And we were delighted and surprised when we thought through it. There's tons to talk about.
Yeah.
And being able to then compare and contrast them, getting to, when we watch the first Planet of the Apes, and there are certain topics that come up in the realm of, like, how the people are kept, or details of, their space travel and stuff, that we could be comfortable not going into a lot of detail because we knew that was going to come up in the next two more. So this actually worked out surprisingly well. I was really happy with it.
Well, it's fun because we were a bit worried about, like, will there be too much overlap? You know, like what we've run into with the idea of doing yet another Jurassic film of like, okay, but are they going to do anything other than having some new dinosaurs?
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to do anything that's different enough that the topic of discussion will actually be something new and not just kind of rehashing what we've said over the last 6 films?
Yes.
We were kind of worried about that here. Of is it just going to be talking about like how they portray apes 3 different times and talking about how apes and people are different and not different, but because the stories were different enough, we could explore those different avenues, and where they did overlap, we could compare and contrast, like you were just saying. And that was something, like, we did that, like I said, a little bit with the Godzilla and King Kong films, where we were able to say, they also did their version of it, but here's how a modern take looked, and what seems to have changed, and how that reflects our current modern understanding or still misunderstandings. This one was fun because we were able to look at it the same way, but over a even wider amount of time, because we had beginning, middle, end.
Yep. Yeah, so this was a lot of fun. Also, we got to watch Planet of the Apes, which is always... Silver screen science movies tend to broadly fall into 2 categories, and that is movies that we're excited to watch and movies that we're not excited to watch.
Yeah.
We swap back and forth.
Like, I'm trying to think if there's one where we didn't know which one it was going to be going in. And I don't think there's really been one that we didn't have a pretty good... Like, you know, we hadn't seen Meg before we saw it.
Sure.
It was in theater.
But we knew.
We had a safe bet.
The closest that comes to mind is the remake of Planet of the Apes, which we both were ready to be better than it was.
I really thought it was more schlocky fun than it was.
So, tons more people have shown up in here. Let's see. Brian's here.
Hi,
Emmett's
everybody.
here. Bryn is here. Dr. Nanjo is here. Hello, everybody. Aaron's here. And people are asking questions. First of all, I do want to... so, Lexi made a comment about removing nail polish. And I agree with... Bryn, my nail polish does not last a month. That's I'm happy if it makes like a week and a half. It usually starts to fall apart.
But also, we are glad to provide that forced downtime for you to be able to do stuff like this.
Yes, I think it's because I type so much. That must be it, because I don't do any other physical activities.
Well, that's what Anna's run into, is that most jobs she's had, she's doing stuff with her hands enough that just whatever she does with her nails doesn't last very long.
So, listeners, now that Planet of the Apes Silver Screen is over, let us know what you thought. Did you have fun? We had fun. We know some people who use this as an excuse to watch all the movies, which, awesome. Congrats to you.
Which, you're welcome, we're sorry.
Yes, exactly. You're welcome, we're sorry you won.
Yes.
Brian has asked, and I love the way that this question is phrased, Aliens Predator?
Yeah. I've seen on the Discord a bunch of people have been proposing optional other trios of stuff to do.
Yeah.
And Alien's been coming up a bunch. Alien, I think, would be a great silver screen film.
Yeah. I think Alien would be super cool.
We've got a scientist. We've got a alien life form whose life cycle we explore as the movie goes on.
Yep, we've got a creature to investigate.
And so that one feels like it'd be great. The Predator films would be tricky.
Yeah, I was about to ask. I'm not sure Predator would be... And this is where, you know, we have occasionally played with the format. We could probably come up with an Aliens versus Predator discussion, because then we get that sort of biology between them. But yeah, Predator is so sci-fi that it goes outside the realm of a lot of our science-y discussions.
Well, and not only is it a very solidly sci-fi, but there's not actually a lot of science going on.
Yeah.
Like, they're not discussing, like, other than a couple of minor things, they're not discussing the biology of it, of the Yautja, as their actual canon
with
names.
the predators?
Yeah, the Yautja.
The Yautja. That's
And
good. That's
I
the
think
sound you make when
Yep.
when you meet one. Oucha.
At least I think that's how it's pronounced. I've only ever seen it written in comic books.
Okay, all right. Well, there you go.
It's one of those words of they made up a word for the alien species.
Do the xenomorphs have a
Xenomorph? It comes up in Aliens.
but that's like
they don't have like a species name outside.
That's
of
what I was wondering.
But that becomes the canon term for them in the comic books and stuff is xenomorphs.
All right. See, this is the Aliens one. Yeah.
I could do that alien silver screen right now.
Yeah. That happened with Jurassic Park. When we did the very first silver screen science, we were like, well, we don't need to watch Jurassic Park to do a science discussion of Jurassic Park, but we do want to watch. Yeah. So yeah, we would get to watch Alien.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is certainly the potential for it.
I saw one trio, and this is kind of the place for these kinds of thoughts that someone threw out. That was Alien, The Thing, and Life, which is the more recent one where they discover like living cells on Mars, and it ends up getting loose on the ISS.
Could be good.
And I liked Life a lot.
I don't know Life. I've seen Alien, and Alien's great, and I've seen The Thing. Although it has been a while since I've seen The Thing, so I wouldn't mind revisiting it.
I love all three, and they're very different styles, but they're all about discovering an alien life form. So it would be very like someone said that, and I was like, honestly,
that's pretty cool.
That trio would make a really good trio.
Now, recently, the last couple of years, the way that we've chosen our movies has been based on the previous year. So 2 years ago, Meg 2 came out.
Yes.
So we did a Sharks series last year. Last year, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes came out, so we did the Planet of the Apes this year. We don't have to do that. We can always take a break. The one idea that we have very briefly mentioned this year is doing a bunch of questionable films that have come out this year.
Yeah.
Jurassic World Rebirth comes out. Also, and I still don't know anything about this movie, but there is a remake of Anaconda that is supposed to come out in December.
Yep.
Which, sure.
Yep.
So it'll be like revisiting.
Yeah. There is going to be an Alien TV show coming out this year.
Oh.
And a bunch of Predator stuff. A new movie just got announced, which is out of nowhere.
Well, that brings us to Aaron's question, who said, I know it sort of defeats the idea of silver screen, but would overviews of TV shows be a possibility for silver screen? And then adds, obviously, really only if you two are already familiar and it's not a massive time undertaking.
Yes. That's the big challenge.
Yeah,
with
that's the big limiting factor on doing a TV show.
It's also tricky because like the one we've talked about most often that would be a really good candidate is Primeval.
Primeval's perfect.
It's so perfect for silver screen.
Yeah.
But you run into the issue of you can't discuss just a single episode. You either have to just discuss a single episode, or you're having to discuss the overarching concept throughout the entire show with some examples.
Yes.
And it feels like in both ways you're gonna lose something, a bit of the discussion. Like either we don't get to zoom in as much as we would on like a movie typically, or we're gonna have to not actually get to talk about most of the rest of the show because we're just gonna focus on the opening episode that lays the premise out or something.
The other thing with something like that is, again, we like to sit down and watch the things because we don't want to miss something.
Yeah,
right?
It keeps it fresh.
Keeps it fresh, and it also means that we are less likely to criticize something and then somebody's like, actually they explain that in episode whatever. And yeah, Primeval's like 5 or 6 seasons.
Yeah.
And that would just so much. That's so much to go through. So we tend not to go into TV shows. It's not out of the question. There's certainly ways that we could do it. We did Prehistoric Planet,
Yes.
the first season when it came out, and just discuss the whole season as one silver screen episode. So it's not impossible. There are certainly ways that we could do it, but it would have to be the right... Like, if the MCU came out with a with a Netflix, well, not Netflix, but like a Disney Plus show set in the Savage Land.
Yes.
That we could do because we would be watching the show anyway.
Yes.
We would watch the show and just go, oh, let's prepare to do silver screen for this. And then we could break it down.
And it's most likely just going to be like 8 episodes. And that's going to, they don't typically do 20 episode seasons for their shows.
So like, there's potential.
Yeah.
There's potential for it.
I feel like maybe if we were to try to do it, breaking it up by season, just be like, we're going to do season 1.
The only
of
issue with
Primeval,
breaking it up by season is that I don't know that there's going to be much difference in the discussion.
Well, and if there's not, then we don't do season 2 would be my vote.
Yeah, that could work.
We're gonna start it by saying season 1. We know there's stuff in the later seasons that doesn't get touched on in season 1, but just to keep it manageable,
yes,
we'll do it here. If it turns out there's a lot more to say than we thought, or
then we've got more,
then we can do later seasons.
Yeah, so it's possible. So this is our official call, Marvel, if you're listening.
Yes.
Do a Savage Land show.
Yes.
And we'll do a show about the X-Men and the Savage Land. Yeah. Look, X-Men plus Savage Land. That's we silver screen, nice and easy.
It'd be great.
So just do that. We'll feature this. Marvel Studios, if you want the Common Descent bump, this is what we need.
We can get you there.
We need X-Men and the Savage Land. Magneto carries them all in a circus cart and flies them to Antarctica to his secret base, and then they have a fight, and then most of them apparently die in lava, but then they end up in the Savage Land, and they have to... This is a plot.
This is just how comics go.
This is what happened. That was issue 111, I think? Anyway. So, short answer, yeah, maybe. Maybe do TV shows. All right, who else? There's so much conversation going in here. Hello, everybody. Wonderful. Lexi said, I'm doing much less field work, so the nail polish lasts longer. Good top coat. I've recently been using Holo Taco on Nora's suggestion. Bryn says, I'm pleased you managed to pronounce my name correctly. Most pronounce it as Brian. I'm going to be honest. I can't help but feel that a person who pronounces it Brian isn't paying very close attention.
Yeah.
That happened. Our friend Jenna told me that once that she has gotten called Gina. And I'm like, that's just incorrect. That's not a mistake. That's just wrong. Let's see. Dr. Nanjo said, wait on Aliens until after the Project Hail Mary movie comes out. I don't know what that is.
Is that the blanking on the name. I remember hearing about the Project Hail Mary, but I don't remember what it is. Someone say what it is in the comments.
Explain it. Emmett says, I re-listened to the Lake Placid and Anaconda ones. I would love another Croc and Snake themed series. I'm sure there are more movies. So here's the thing about that, because we talked about this when we did Lake Placid and Anaconda. We had a big old conversation about how many episodes we wanted to do.
Yes.
And there are plenty of great choices among Croc movies.
There's some really good ones.
We could do Blackwater.
Yep.
We could do Crawl,
yep.
which I haven't seen, but I that seems like a good choice.
Crawl, we get lots of discussions. If we wanted to do something that was even more sci-fi, we could do like Alligator the Mutation, where it gets mutated by stuff poured down the sewer.
Anaconda's really the only good snake movie or silver screen.
Yeah.
There are other movies with snakes, but a lot of them tend to be either like Mega Snake, I don't know what they are, but you know, the goofy ones, or it's like Snakes on a Plane, which is like the other famous snake movie. And while Snakes on a Plane is a real phenomenon, there's not really a lot of science going on in Snakes on a Plane, and I don't know that it would make a good silver screen discussion. Anaconda was we sat down and we went through and we thought about it, and there's not a lot of good snake movies that work for the way that the kind of conversations that we want to have.
Yeah. Well, and it's tough because, like you said, like a bunch of them are just the, Mega Python versus Super Boa and things like that, which are, there's like a dozen of those kind of giant snake movies, and they're all just Sci-Fi Channel responses to Anaconda coming out.
Right.
Like that's all, they're all the same premise. There's a couple that get really sci-fi where it's like this snake was built in a lab to be a bioweapon, so it's got like enhancements, but it's not snake stuff. It's like, yeah, we gave it robot vision,
laser beams attached to its
like
head.
it can see through walls now, and it can, pick up radio. I think one of them could like pick up radio signals and stuff like fun sci-fi concepts, but not actually any snake science for us to discuss.
Right.
There was one, I think it was the same one where it was also smarter. So like the one cool scene was it used its shed skin to dupe the people hunting it, so that they approached the skin so it could ambush them from behind.
Yeah.
It's like, that was
pretty cool.
That was a legitimately neat scene.
And
while the croc movies have like actually a wide variety of types of croc movie.
Yeah. So we could almost certainly do an episode of Silver Screen Science where we talk about several snake films. And we just like put them all together and do like an overview, kind of like we did with James Bond.
Yeah.
But then we'd have to watch several films. And the only reason we did that with James Bond is because we had just decided, the two of us, to do it. And then I think we got like halfway through watching them all and went, we could monetize this experience. Yes. We could make this silver screen. So,
yeah, well,
unfortunately, there's just not that much snake stuff.
Because the only way you can make snakes a movie monster is to make them big enough that they can eat someone.
Yes.
And because otherwise you can only, the only way you can do it is like arachnophobia, but with a bunch of vipers. To where like they're taking over a town and people are getting bitten left and right.
Which is kind of what Snakes on a Plane does.
And so like that's really your only two options. And like, yeah, croc movies are also pretty, similar Jaws-esque style things, but you can, like, Lake Placid is the giant version. Blackwater is incredibly grounded, and then Dark Ages would be the other one that I'd suggest, which is a conservation story about trying to relocate a problem croc before it is poached, and the meaningfulness of crocs to the local people and everything. And so like
that's pretty cool.
Like you can actually do a lot of, and then you got Crawl, which is utter nonsense,
right?
Of swarming alligators.
Now, another angle that would be a fun, this actually would be pretty fun. This would be very different from our normal silver screen. We could totally put together a discussion on like animated crocs and snakes.
Yeah, yes.
And just go over like the tropes, the positives and negatives, go through several examples. That would be super fun.
Yeah.
That's actually a really fun idea.
Yes. That would be a lot of fun.
Maybe we'll do that. Because that's one where we don't need to go watch a whole bunch of movies. At worst, we just have to look up clips.
Yes.
Which is nice and easy. So there's options.
There's ways around it.
Ava says, I've just seen The Gorge, and it is quite good. There are plant peoples. We could do plants. Someday we could have Allie on for Silver Screen.
Oh, absolutely. There's some fun ones we could do that way.
And Sarah Grace is here. Sarah Grace says, have you ever seen that one movie about the parasites that were released from like glaciers?
Ooh,
that does sound familiar.
Yeah, no, I think I am aware of this movie, but I don't know if I saw it.
I'm thinking of The Wrong Thing, which is Deception Point, which was a Dan Brown novel that, I don't remember the details. Something microbes in ice. I remember really enjoying it when I read it 20 years ago. But it wasn't, I'm pretty sure that's not what we're thinking about.
I feel like
interesting.
I used to watch like Sci-Fi Channel monster movies religiously. Like, I used to make a point of seeking out B monster movies. And the more ridiculous, the better. So I would look up a whole bunch to be like, what else is out there that I haven't seen yet?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure this is one that I looked up one time, but I don't know if I ever watched it. And then I grew out of that, and I haven't been doing that. So if I didn't watch it, I haven't watched it since.
Bryn says, I haven't actually listened to your Silver Screen episodes on movies I haven't watched, just afraid to be spoiled, I guess.
It's fair.
Here's yes, totally fair. That's why we put the spoiler warning.
Yes,
because
we don't like go out of our way to spoil, but we don't avoid it.
Yes, exactly. It's tricky. There are certain, if we could totally put together a list, the two of us, of which movies we recommend you watch before listening to our Silver Screen Science episode. Like this year, for sure we recommend the original Planet of the Apes, and for sure we recommend Rise. And in fact, we recommend watching both. Then you can listen to all 3 episodes.
Yes.
Personally, we don't think you're in danger of being spoiled for the remake of Planet of the Apes.
No,
because in our opinion, it's not a very good movie.
There's nothing to spoil. It's already spoiled.
It's rotten to the core.
It's gone bad.
Now, this obviously is very subjective. It really comes down like because we got a comment. I forget who this was. Someone on Patreon commented on our Deep Blue Sea discussion.
Yes.
And said that they watched it and can't understand why we like it.
Yep.
Which, fair.
Yeah.
And Deep Blue Sea falls into an interesting category where, like, I would suggest watching it first because I think it's delightful, but it's distinctly not everybody's kind of movie. So that one's really like, look up a non-spoilery plot synopsis and see what you think.
Yeah. Well, it's like when I talk about the AVP movies, the Alien vs. Predator movies, where I love. They're not great movies. And there's a lot of people who really hate them. And I don't blame them. But I love them. And I will absolutely suggest people watch them because I want other people to watch them.
Yeah. So, yeah, some people don't care about spoilers.
Yeah.
Some people are maniacs and will just learn anything that happens in a movie.
Firing from the hip.
Just so yeah, it's a wrong way to create content, honestly, to encourage people to not listen to your content.
Yeah.
That is bad practice. But yeah, we don't want you to get spoiled on the movie if you don't want to.
Yeah. It's like how we've talked about the fact that we don't say what the next topic's going to
be.
Probably isn't.
That's a bad idea. Almost certainly.
But it's fun.
But it's fun. So our real suggestion is the movies that sound interesting to you, go watch them, then listen to our Silver Screen episodes. Also, some of them are I would recommend watching Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you listen to our episode, Jaws has been out for 50 years.
Yeah.
So, way how important it is to you. So, yeah. So, we support you in whatever direction you decide to go.
Yes, absolutely.
Emmett says, I kind of assumed there would be way more snake movies. I just like listening to you talk about crocs and snakes. We will find excuses.
Yes.
We will. The animated Crocs and Snakes idea actually is very fun. Maybe we'll do that someday.
Yeah. No, that would be a lot of fun.
Brian, lost it. Sarah Gray says I can't remember the name. That's okay. It'll happen. We'll get to it at some point. We'll keep our ears and eyes out for it. And if I probably won't watch it because it sounds like it's probably bad, but we'll watch it
happily.
I don't go in for watching bad movies outside of very specific categories.
Yeah, creature features are really one of the only ones, and it's because I want to see what they do with the creature.
Yeah, that's the same reason I watched Fan Forstic. Mm-hmm. I had no hopes, and I had zero hopes, and I was still disappointed. but I needed the data. Brian has suggested silver screen dragons for the couple of movies that put in the effort.
Yeah, and
I know there's one shoo-in for a silver screen dragons.
I saw that comment a bit ago, and I immediately started thinking through, and I think I know what our trio would be.
All right. Rain of Fire.
Rain of Fire
is one for sure.
Obviously. Flight of Dragons, the animated movie.
Sure.
That explains how they fly and breathe fire biologically.
Which I still haven't seen.
Yeah.
Right? Because we didn't watch that.
I don't think we've watched that one yet.
We watched The Last Unicorn.
Yes.
We did not watch it. Flight of Dragons I still haven't seen.
And also is all about a scientist trying to reconcile a world of magic while being in that world.
Wait, did we watch?
So I feel like we might have at some point, but I don't remember for sure.
Huh. I'll have to we'll have to check and I'll see if I remember it.
Yep.
But yes.
And then I think the documentary.
Oh yeah.
It's only 4 episodes long, I think, and Dragon is a Legend Made Real.
Yeah, this was a mockumentary in the style of the Mermaids documentary that we've mentioned.
And there's 2 versions of it, which is something that we could also discuss, because there's the UK version, the original version that came out, and then a edited version that was the one that was initially released on Discovery Channel. And if I remember right, the big difference is that in the UK version, it is what's the word I'm looking for? It's dramatized. The scientist discovering the dragon is dramatized.
Oh, okay.
Him presenting his research and being criticized by others is dramatized. While in the version I saw as a kid and the one I had on DVD, that premise was just there as, what if we found a dragon?
Yes.
And we were what would we learn potentially? There was no dramatization.
Yes, that's the version that I saw.
Yes, there is a dramatized version.
Interesting.
I can't remember what brought it up. I saw something that was talking about it, and I found out there was 2 versions, which would be great to discuss because I hate the idea of the traumatized.
Sure, yes.
that makes my skin crawl. That you did the mermaid.
Now it's like the mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now you've made it.
Nope.
You're murkying.
Yes.
The premise.
But those would be great. You got a sci-fi version, a fantasy explained version, and then a science speculative evolution version.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. I think we did watch Flight of Dragons, and I've just forgotten most of it. I could be reminded, but
it's worth rewatching.
Could be good. Could see this is why we have these.
Yep.
Bryn says few authors annoy me more than Dan Brown. Fair. I read a lot of Dan Brown when I was a teenager. I say a lot. I think I read 3 of his books, 3 maybe 4. And I really enjoyed them, but I haven't returned to him in a long time, so I don't have a fully formed adult opinion about it. Brian further asks, were there any weird gender politics in the 3rd Apes film? There was some discussed in the 1st and 2nd. Not really.
No. Not outside of typical movie
yes, exactly.
stuff.
Setting aside the fact that there is a single woman in the entire movie, I don't know that there's even... There are a handful of other women that have lines.
Yes.
But not much.
Yeah.
There's a single woman with a name and plot relevance in the entire movie. So it is skewed in the way that Hollywood movies often are.
It's not as balanced as representative as you would like. There's only 2 female chimps that get named, and neither of them get to do much other than one starts the movie by dying.
Yes.
You do see some female chimps toward the end with babies on their back.
Sure.
I noticed that, but otherwise.
But within the actual content of the film, there isn't not that I noticed any weird
mistreatment.
Yeah, the way that there for sure is in the remake, and is in the remake. There's weird gender stuff that is funny in that weird
roll your eyes at it.
The original has gender stuff that is uncomfortable.
Yes.
Like, really, again, there's a single human woman character. She does not speak, and she did that.
Yep.
So yeah, the third one, I mean, it's the best of the three for sure. More recent movies in the reboot franchise have had more central women characters, both human and ape.
Yes.
Which has been really cool to see.
So, other than typical Hollywood stuff, yeah, no, nothing particularly to report.
Yes. And, you know, the one actress with an important role in Rise
Cool character.
Yeah, I like her. I think she does a great job.
Yeah.
I think she's an actress I don't know. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen her in anything else. But I enjoy her role in the film. I think she is an important character, mostly for the development of the main character. But she's influential, and I like her as a character.
Yes.
Dr. Nanjo observes, Jaws has amazing cinematography, which no one notices because of all the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those movies that it's, and we talked about it, that it is like arguably one of the creature features. Like, there were ones before it. Like, I believe Alligator predates it. And so, like, there are older ones, but it's one of the ones that really, like, started the genre in the way of modern people know it. But it's not actually one of those kinds of films in most regards. It's an extremely well done film that happens to be about a giant shark.
Yes, which is kind of the way that I've always felt about Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
It is an extremely well done movie that happens to also be about dinosaurs and stuff, which is why Jurassic Park and Jaws are both movies that have been followed by 1,000 sequels and imitators that never quite seem to capture what the original did.
Yes.
Because every movie that's trying to be Jurassic Park is trying to be a movie about dinosaurs.
Yes.
Which isn't really what Jurassic Park was. Same thing with Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
All those movies are trying to be movies about sharks, and Jaws isn't really a movie about a shark.
Yeah.
It's that. Now we're getting
Yeah.
undergraduate.
Well, it's the thing that comes up with sci-fi so often, where like the fake science in sci-fi is not actually the point of the movie. It's the social commentary about how we are using said potential science, or what it would mean for us as a people. That typically is the actual point of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paleo Edits suggests a Pleistocene trio of Alpha, 10,000 BC, and Ice Age. We talked about doing Alpha.
Yeah.
I never saw Alpha.
I did not see Alpha, so I do not actually know if it, how much of it there would be to say.
Yeah, 10,000 BC, bad. I don't want to do 10,000 BC. I
will look for excuses not to.
We did, so we talked about this before. Back in grad school, my friend Eric and I set up a movie night series for our geosciences department, where we would watch a movie. We'd get a bunch of students in the room. We'd watch a movie. We'd invite a professor to come chat with us. And some movies were perfect. The Core, amazing. Because it is entertaining, it is engaging, and there is silly science happening every 5 minutes.
Yes.
There is something to laugh at in terms of the science or to comment on. Armageddon, beautiful. Same reasons. Jurassic Park, we did do Jurassic Park, and Jurassic Park is interesting because there isn't a lot to like point at and go, yaha, sciencey stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to, I saw someone else bring up MST3K.
Yes.
It's actually hard to Mystery Science Theater it.
Because Jurassic Park is more, the concepts are what's interesting. 10,000 BC, we did 10,000 BC, and I distinctly remember by the time you get about a third to a half of the way through that movie, everything interesting scientifically has already come up. Yeah. So you've gotten to MS23K it, and then it's just another hour of watching a bad movie.
Well, and a very generic action film.
It was, that room was so quiet. It was really, that was a bad movie to do that with.
Yeah.
Ice Age would be awesome. Ice Age would be a great choice.
That would be great.
We do an animated
Yeah.
bunch would be.
Yeah.
Oh, we could do like We're Back.
We could do We're Back. We could do Good Dinosaur, where it's...
Oh yeah,
That one's got some...
I've still never seen Good Dinosaur.
It's like, honestly, it was fine.
Yeah,
it was fine.
That's what I've heard.
I was not wowed by it. I think it was kind of boring, mostly because I did not like the main character. But it is speculative. It has some speculative evolution and everything, and because the whole premise is, what if
the asteroid missed?
I
remember in the trailer, there's the scene of it,
and so it's got some interesting things in that regard. But we could also do Dinosaur. And so an animated one and paleo animated would be fun.
And Ice Age is great. Ice Age would be a fantastic silver screen movie.
Yeah.
There's so much in there. Also, I really like Ice Age.
It's good.
Ice Age is great. I saw Ice Age when it first came out. My mom and I went to see it in theaters. And I think it was like, we were late to it. So it was like a couple weeks after it came out. And we went in the middle of the day. And there were, including us, 4 people in that theater. And the other 2 left partway through. So most of that movie, it was just the 2 of us hanging out watching a movie. Very cool.
I like Ice Age.
Bryn asks, is there any reason why you did not make a Silver Screen Science for the 2nd season of Prehistoric Planet?
We talked about it, and the main reason we did it is because the interesting things to discuss for the first season wasn't the specific stuff they did with the dinosaurs and the specific dinosaurs they chose. It was about how did they approach a modern portrayal of a dinosaur documentary.
What
techniques did they use? How much speculative evolution did they use? How much did they explain the speculative aspects? Because that was one of the big things with Prehistoric Planet, is they were a bit more free and depending on your feeling, aggressive with the use of speculative evolution. And from what we saw of the trailers, we haven't actually watched season 2, so that's one reason.
Seen bits and pieces, but
from what we saw, it didn't seem like the approach, was particularly different, which is not a criticism, but just that.
Sure. Yeah, it just means that there's not as much.
It seemed like it was just the same show with new scenes and new creatures, which is great, but doesn't actually, we're not wanting to go through and say, this animal, what did they do?
Yes.
This animal, what did they do?
Which is fun. That's fun to discuss, but that's not, there's tons of places online that are doing that.
So
the other reason that we didn't do Prehistoric Planet Season 2 is that we weren't as interested in doing another silver screen about it for all those reasons. And also, we didn't love Prehistoric Planet Season 1 enough to want to get another limited subscription to Apple TV Plus. That Prehistoric Planet 2 was paywalled. And that really was if it had been free, we probably would have done season, at least to mention it. But the fact that you had to pay for it, and we didn't have particularly high hopes for another good episode of Silver Screen. Neither one of us actually watched Prehistoric Planet Season 2.
And it's like we were saying earlier, that typically the 2 categories of movies that we choose for Silver Screen are ones that we can't really avoid because it's too...
Sure. Anything with Jurassic in the title.
Yes, exactly. We're going to have to at least see it to see if it's something we need to discuss, or things we want to do. And since we had already done the first season, the second one didn't fall into either category, really. It didn't feel like we had to, that we would be doing a disservice not to do it. And we were not stoked to do it, so...
Emmett asks, have you considered / done Silver Screen Science about bears or big cats? No idea if they're a popular group to make movies about. And then, lost it. Oh no. Aaron said, there was that Idris Elba movie with the man-eating lion that came out a few years ago. Maybe paired with Cocaine Bear. They'll do the Lion King,
Yep.
which
Yeah.
will be okay.
Yeah.
I have not seen Cocaine Bear.
Mm-mm.
Probably not a good silver screen science choice.
Mm-mm.
I don't know what the Idris Elba movie is.
It's got an interesting name.
There was a movie made about the what are they? What's the name of them? The lion, the Tsavo lions.
Yes.
Shadow something.
Yeah.
Shadows in the dark.
That might be the one I'm thinking of.
Something like
that's
that.
the kind of title I was trying to think of.
The Tsavo lions were a real life pair of lions back in like the 1800s, I think, who became notorious because they preyed upon rail workers.
Yeah,
I think it was. They were like people building train rails, and a bunch of them got eaten by these lions. And then the lions were eventually, exactly how many people the lions attacked is murky, it seems, because there are some reports that are like, it seems like what happened is any person that was attacked by any animal for a while, it was blamed on these lions.
Yep.
But they're known as the Tsavo man-eaters, and they are in, I think, the Field Museum.
Yeah.
Because they got caught.
Yeah.
They were caught and killed, and there's been a bunch of research on them. I think we might have talked about one of the research papers.
That'd be an interesting thing to talk about if we ever did one of those kinds of films, because that we could do a man-eaters series, because you got the Sava lions, and then you got make sure I get the title right, Primeval, not the show, the movie, which is about Gustav the crocodile, which is another one that has the same thing of it is a notorious individual Nile crocodile in Africa that has attacked many people, but it's blamed for like 300 deaths, which almost certainly is not actually the number of people Gustav has attacked. But anyone who goes missing in the area of the Nile or places where Gustav has been spotted gets blamed on Gustav, because Gustav has national fame.
Gustav runs the ring of man-eating animals in that. He's like the Joker.
Exactly. Gustav didn't get that person, but the croc that got you was working for Gustav.
Yes, exactly. Gustav, well, it's like how, a dictator doesn't, do all the dirty work themselves.
Yeah.
So Gustav's out there ordering the other crocs around.
Yep.
Sarah Grace asks, would you ever consider doing silver screen for video games?
We've
talked about it. This has the same issue as the TV shows, is that then we have to play through an entire video game. We've talked about it for a while. We toyed around with the idea of doing streaming ourselves going through video games, which is still something that we'd love to do.
Yes, not off the table.
In the cards for the immediate future. There's tons of video games that would be a bunch of fun to do that with. We had looked into some of the Jurassic World games. I have always thought it would be really fun to do a playthrough of one of the Fossils mods in Minecraft.
Yep.
And go through and just, gather up all the stuff and put everything together. So yeah, there's potential there. It's just a matter of the logistics of making it fit in the schedule and worth the time that it takes to do it.
Yeah.
Shaboom. Lexi says 10,000 BC was the first PG-13 movie I ever watched, and I have no intention of ever rewatching it. Yeah.
Yep. Same feeling.
Ava suggests The Croods. Yeah.
It could be if we were doing like an animated prehistoric stuff. It's not technically prehistoric because it's all speculative creatures. Like none of the creatures in the Croods are real creatures. They're all made up creatures. But it is playing off of cliches about cavemen and prehistoric life. So there could be fun stuff for that.
Aaron has suggested perhaps an early hominid trio, Quest for Fire, with some of those old caveman exploitation movies.
Yeah.
Well, they came out. What was the there was one just a couple years ago that was like a early hominin horror movie.
Yep.
that I don't remember the name of.
Yeah,
But that
maybe.
Out of the Darkness or something,
Yeah, something like that.
And then doing those, like, it would be very fun, and this is a thing we've never really done, to go back to, like, the old paleontology films, to do, like, 1,000,000 years BC and The Lost World, like, first half of the century old school paleo films. Could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yep.
The Lost World actually would be great.
Oh yeah, no, I think
that's a good choice.
some of those would be a lot of fun to do.
Yeah. 1,000,000 years BC less so, because it really is goofy. There is a discussion to be had there about, like, tropes and trends in early depictions of ancient life. But there's not a lot of science going on there.
Yeah.
The Lost World is about a bunch of scientists going and finding dinosaurs, which is great.
Yeah.
It would also be the oldest movie we've ever done for Silver Screen.
True. Very true.
The oldest movie to this day. Do you know what the oldest movie is that we've done?
Godzilla?
Nope.
No, King Kong.
That's the one.
Yeah, King Kong.
1933, which is almost as old as you can do movies. We'll go back and we'll do Gertie the Dinosaur.
Yeah.
And that'll be it. That'll be the cutoff.
We will have maxed out. Dr. Nanjo also mentioned Project Hail Mary, and still no one has explained what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to wait until you tell me what it is. I'm going to watch Alien right now if you don't explain what it is. Someone needs to put a synopsis in the comments. I've seen people mention it on the Discord. I have not heard of what Project Hail Mary is.
Yeah, I've heard the name, but I don't know what it is.
The only alien thing I know of is Alien Earthfall, Earthrise, Earth something. Alien, it may just be Alien Earth, which is them.
Dr. Nanjo did mention earlier, it's a book by Andy Weir, who's the Martian guy. Right?
Gotcha.
Andy Weir's the Martian? But I think made a comment about not wanting to give anything away.
Gotcha, I saw that. Okay, my bad. What is it? But does it have to do something with aliens? Like, does it?
Yeah, just give us something. Okay, there's a bunch going on here. Ava asked, have you ever considered doing Silver Screen about Lovecraft?
It's come up, or people have asked that one before, and the big issue is that there's kind of like
there's a few issues.
There's a few issues.
One issue is that Lovecraft
horrible person
is a problem.
Like was a terribly racist person, and a lot of the Lovecraftian stories are just about how disturbing would it be if you had to interact with an African, like legitimately.
Right.
There's a bunch where that's the premise. The horrific, mind-bending reveal is my grandfather slept with an African. Literally, that's one of them. Is the premise it's getting at.
Which isn't to say that it's not worth discussing those stories, but I don't think we would put Lovecraft's name in like the title of our series.
Cosmic horror, is the term that people use instead of Lovecraftian. Which is one of those where it's a shame because that's such a great term. Lovecraftian's a fun word, but it is giving homage to just a monstrous human being. The other issue is that though those stories are very often about creepy creatures, the actual core concept of cosmic horror is that it is beyond comprehension, and therefore the biology usually, like, there's a bunch of things that often get grouped in cosmic horror, like the Alien franchise often gets grouped in cosmic horror, but me personally, I do not think it counts as cosmic horror because it's
just horror in space.
Exactly. That's just interstellar horror. Those are just creatures. Even though they're weird, they're not unexplainable. The entire premise of that genre is that the most terrifying things are the things that are beyond our human ability to comprehend.
Which does make it difficult to have a scientific conversation about them.
And it's why cosmic horror movies usually kind of have to, compromise. Because it's a visual medium. And so if you're going to make a movie about Cthulhu or some creature like that, at some point you have to show me Cthulhu. And the simple act of showing me Cthulhu makes it comprehensible.
Yes. and you've kind of broken it.
So now it's not, I can't even fathom, I'm doing this description is the best I was able to write down based off what my fractured mind was able to make sense of this unexplainable thing from another realm. If it's a movie, it's that.
Yep, there it is.
2 bat wings,
There's
octopus face, webbed hands.
There is one movie that I've seen that did cosmic horror. That was a movie that I really liked that did cosmic horror, and I'm not going to say what it is because it's a spoiler. But you know what it is, and it was great.
Yes.
That was really fun.
Yeah, there's a couple out there that I've seen that are quite good and do it really well. But it is a very abstract concept and genre. And so if we were to pick films that we actually consider cosmic horror, it would be almost impossible to discuss the science because the whole point is that it is unknowable.
Yeah.
Like, you're dealing with powers and forces that don't obey the way our universe functions, and that's the point.
There might be an interesting conversation to be had about the concept of cosmic horror. I think we could get an interesting silver screen discussion out of that concept, but doing like film by film or book by book it wouldn't fit in the format we typically follow.
Yes.
So, and I hope, that people listening are picking up on, these are all great suggestions.
Oh, yeah, no.
This isn't to be like, no, bad idea.
No, absolutely.
These are great
valid
suggestions.
Questions.
These are the reasons why we haven't put them into the handful of episodes of Silver Screen that we have time to do every year.
Yeah.
But these are great discussions and conversations to get to have.
And I don't want you to feel like we're just shooting it. We've already had this discussion because it was a thing we went, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Or because people have suggested it.
Yeah.
And there are fans.
It's a good suggestion, and we've given it consideration, but there's enough. It's one of those where I'm sure there is a cosmic horror film that could be made that would make us go, that one. There we go.
There's a movie. I'll bring it up later because I've never seen it and I don't know anything about it because I understand that to know about it is to be spoiled.
Yeah, I think I might know.
You probably know which one I'm talking about.
Which I also had the moment of I also don't want to say it here because I kind of the whole point is going into this one not actually knowing what's happening,
and that makes it really difficult to know if it's a good silver screen science movie. And yeah, we'll have to watch that at some point. You know what the one you're about.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, I've seen it. I finally watched it, and it would be.
What was the Ava suggests silver screen for books. Again, very fun, tricky, because more recently we've gotten in the habit of just bringing authors onto the podcast to talk about their books, which is a great winning strategy. Well, because they've already read it.
Yes, and I can tell you that the biggest issue with doing books for silver screen or something, some other alliterative title that references books and pages, which I don't have anything.
I'll get it. Yeah. I'm working on it.
It would mostly be David giving me a book report because, full honesty, I'm not going to read chapter books, 3 chapter books for us to do a series or I am a very slow reader and I'm a very picky reader. It takes a very specific kind of story for me to be engaged enough in the story to get through the reading. I'm probably dyslexic. I was never diagnosed as a kid, but tests I've taken since have leaned that I'm probably dyslexic. So reading a chapter book is a chore for me. So I'm not gonna, which doesn't mean we couldn't do it, but it would be a very different style. It would be David having to tell me about the books, or we'd have to only find ones that also have a good audiobook, which wouldn't be impossible, but is a time dedication because audiobooks are long.
I don't have one. Something about a spine. There's spine in there. Aaron suggests irradiated animals not named Godzilla, which would be a ton of fun.
Yeah, we could do them.
We could do the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Yep. Ooh, that
and something else. That
right there makes me want to do it.
Those two,
because I've never seen them.
I've never seen either of those actually.
20,000 Fathoms is actually really good.
Yeah,
that's one of those where I watched it and was like, oh my gosh, no wonder.
Yeah.
Japan looked at this and went, yes, please, because it was a good film. Not just a cool monster, but good film, good story.
It can happen. Great. Paleo Edits points out that there was a new Walking with Dinosaurs in the works,
Yeah.
which we could certainly check out.
I've seen the trailer for it, and it. Oh, that's what I had a moment of accidentally connecting this, but it sent me down a thing of looking up other stuff, and I found. Oh, I think the documentary was just called Dinosaurs, and it's from the 80s, I think.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
I
It was
had
like 1980 dinosaurs.
and I had it like a VHS of it as a kid, but it has a bunch of hand-drawn animation dinosaur scenes. And after seeing that back to back with seeing the trailer for the new Walking with Dinosaurs, because it looks like it'll be a good documentary. The only part that I was like, oh, is there wasn't any sign of any animatronics, which I didn't expect there to be.
Sure.
But that was one of the things that made the first Walking with really cool, was like they built these dinosaurs. They built a bunch of animatronics for the dinosaurs, and that gave a level of, physicality to the scenes that you don't get with CGI the same way. And I had a similar moment looking at the hand-drawn animations, and it made me realize that I would love to see more dinosaur stuff done with techniques other than hyper-realistic CGI.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing is that with hyper-realistic CGI, I think it can sometimes give the false premise that this is the accurate representation of the dinosaur, instead of yet another form of paleo art. Like, we don't know that this is what Dinochirus looked like, but here is a really accurate reconstruction of what we think it could look like. But because you're trying to make it as real to life as possible, I think it can kind of skew
as
the
opposed to
representation.
if it's a cartoon,
That's not what it looked like.
yes, that this is an idea
Yes.
of what it might have looked like. I'd love to see more animated
It's
dinosaur
so
stuff.
cool. Well, and you could do a lot
Yeah.
of things that I feel like it would be harder to do. I think you could do a lot of things more easily than you could do in CGI, like doing X-ray stuff. Like showing a scene and then going, and here's how the skeleton would be moving during this.
Yes.
Because you can do it like an infographic, but moving.
I would also love a documentary about making animatronic dinosaurs.
Yes.
Or making CGI dinosaurs. The idea of here's the process that we go through and why we choose the features that we do. I think would be very cool.
Yeah, no, there would be some really cool. It could be fun to go through old documentaries at some point, like old,
and like we could watch. I always forget what this is. Journey Through Time or something like that. Was some European country, like Swedish or something, movie about a bunch of kids who go down a river that takes them through different time periods. Which is one of the first documentary style films about ancient life, which I haven't seen, but which would be super cool. I also, as I understand, it is the first time any film anything drew a connection between dinosaurs and birds.
Cool.
And it was like the 50s. This was like 1958 or something. So yeah, doing documentaries would be super fun. Yeah, we really, much like we've talked about with Spooky, Silver Screen Science, we have built a very particular box for ourselves to play around in. And the reason that so many of these other ideas don't make it into Silver Screen is because we have established limits on Silver Screen intentionally to make it easier for ourselves to keep it consistent and to actually do it. Much like Spooky, but... there's always the potential for spin-offs or altered formats or different things in the future, because we really enjoy having these discussions and we really enjoy getting these suggestions from the audience. So, doing video games sometime in the future would be extremely fun. Doing books would be extremely fun. We just have to figure out which ones work and what directions to take it.
Well, and it's interesting because like part of the reason we like you're saying we built this specific box for Silver Screen was to try to do discussions that aren't being done as often online, because like going through and reviewing the science of sci-fi films is something that is done, not saying that it's like, everyone's doing it, it's not interesting. No, it's still cool stuff that people are doing it, but that exists. There are great sources for that online already. We wanted to do a look at the portrayal of science, not the accuracy, specifically of every bit of the science, but how science and scientists are shown and handled in a story, which means that it has it precludes some things and leans toward others.
Yep.
So like doing it with other stuff definitely is possible. I also feel like it's one of those that there could be other people that like guests or something.
Absolutely.
Like,
especially for books.
Yeah.
Because there are people that are out there that devour, well, like Ava was saying.
Yes.
That devour books like this. Nora's like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nora loves to devour these kind of books. And that would be, we do it like we do the Alley episodes. Yes. We're like, all right, you come on and tell us, and then we'll have a discussion about it.
Because like with games and stuff, like we both play games. I would not describe either of us as gamers.
Yes.
Like we play
we
games.
don't tear through video games the way that some people do.
We go long hiatuses between our video game binges and moods.
Yes.
While movies are something we are pretty consistently consuming.
Yes. Movies are also just so easy.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours. We sit down, we eat dinner, we watch a movie.
We're going to enjoy the experience because we like watching movies together regardless of the kind of movie it is. So like we're going to have, even if we hate the movie, the discussion afterward is going to be endlessly entertaining. So it's just so easy for us. So yeah, I feel like that's one where finding someone that's our book person or our video game person might be the way to end up going with those.
And the other thing, of course, is, one of the things that we talked about this a lot on our Spotlight series last year, is that it is so nice to know that there are other people out there doing similar content.
Yes.
So if we're not doing it, one of the other paleo podcasters or YouTubers might be doing it. And honestly, for those of you that have great ideas, do it.
Yeah.
Go do it. Make a podcast about it and invite us on, and we'll come on and we'll talk about whatever the thing is.
Absolutely.
Paleo Edit says, cool t-shirts, by the way. Got a spare one. This one is available on our Zazzle store.
Yep.
And this one is available to upper tier patrons on the Patreon. So that one is an exclusive. You got to get it on the thing. Listeners, thank you so much for joining us. These are always a ton of fun conversations to have. The live stream, we started doing the live streams in large part, well, partially because it's easy content. Again, to churn out that content.
Yep, sit down, hit record once.
And then just once. Just once.
I don't know if most of you will get that. That was a patron.
That was a patron. Whoa, the version of that Patreon. So we do live streams on Patreon. If you're a patron, you get to join us for live streams every month. The version of that live stream that exists in the archive is the third take. It's
that was a mess. That was a
mess of one. But we love doing these because we get to interact. We get the suggestions from people. It gives us a sense of what our audience is interested in. Ideas pop up in the ideas.
Brainstorming is great.
There are a handful of ideas that have came up in this discussion that we will be remembering.
Oh yeah.
The idea of doing a discussion about animated Crocs and Snakes, which we have talked about before, but not in the context of Silver Screen Science. I really like it in the context of Silver Screen.
That would be tons of fun.
So like
the Dragons List.
The Dragons List is very cool.
Really good.
So yeah, these are great. These really get us motivated. They let us interact with our audience, which we love to be able to do. And they get us excited about talking about this stuff. This has been this year's Silver Screen Science. This is it. Silver Screen Science is officially over for the year. Jurassic World Rebirth comes out in the summer.
Yep.
Which I'm not excited about. and I don't know. It might end up being the first Jurassic movie that we don't do silver screen about, just depending on what's in it.
Yeah.
It'll depend on what's in it, but we might, again, we might just crank a quick, easy one out like we've done in the past.
I'm excited for the Lego sets.
That's true. We could just review the Lego sets. That Anaconda movie is coming out. I don't know anything about it except Jack Black and Paul Rutter in it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like we never did the sequel to we never did Anaconda because there's nothing new in it to say really outside of what was in the first one, other than some made up science about a flower and a spider, and stuff like that. So
we'll see. But it is almost May. Thunderbolts comes out next weekend.
Oh,
by the way.
I've been seeing things about it, and I had that moment of like, I bet that's coming out soon.
Yeah.
I haven't had it on my radar because we've been busy.
Yeah, next weekend that comes out. We won't do a silver screen for Thunderbolts. Once again, Marvel, if you're listening, go to the Savage Land, get on the podcast.
I mean, you got so many. You can do X-Men in the Savage Land. You can do Devil Dino and bring in like Moon Girl. Because you've been doing that cartoon. Do a live action. People would love it.
Yep. Give us Sauron.
Yes.
Sauron in the MCU.
Turn people into dinosaurs.
And Stegron.
Yes.
You could do X-Men Green and have Nature Girl and Curse running around with Sauron stealing boats and stuff. We're here. We're just waiting for it. Other thing that I was going to say. Next month, almost, Croc and Snake Month.
Yeah.
June and July. We've got Croc and Snake Month coming up. We'll do some Croc and Snake stuff. And then we'll go to Dragon Con, and then we'll have Spooky, and we'll do a Spooky live stream. And last year we did a Croc and Snake Month live stream.
Yeah.
So we'll probably do that again, too. So we love getting to interact with our patrons and all of our listeners. So we love to do these sort of live streams and stuff. If you have more to say about Silver Screen Science, get in the Discord. There is a Silver Screen Science channel. There's also a TV and movies channel, so you can talk about all your various thoughts. And the community in there is just so delightful and active. That's it. That's everything.
Yeah.
A few hours from now, episode 216 drops. Keep your ears and eyes out for that. I have to go and get... I got a meeting to prepare some content for another thing. That I'm going to go in about an hour. I'm going to be meeting with Nora and Allie to put together things for Leave It to Us.
I also need to finish editing the next Bricks episode.
Yes, and Bricks with Bask is coming out.
You gotta go make you all stuff.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. Thank you all so much for joining us. Keep up with the stuff. Be in the Discord, be in the comments, be active, let us know what you think, and bye.
Bye.
Don't swear. Don't swear. We're still on the air for a second.